What's up, dudes and dudettes of the internet? My name is Scythe, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do that. This is going to be the Rage Speed build. That's what I'm going to be calling it because I'm naming it after my friend Rage Kill, who ended up showing me this a million zillion years ago in Trove, and I never made a tutorial at the time, but right now lots of people have been asking me to make a tutorial of this speed build for the Neon Ninja because he's the fastest class in the game, if you didn't already know. And yeah, so let's get right to it. So a lot of this build is actually dependent on the gems that you end up getting, depending on the world that you want to actually farm efficiently, and the second stat of gear is actually very important. The Neon Ninja, for the most part, ends up coming into his own when you end up getting your class gem ability. The way that this works, if you don't already know, is you tag an enemy 1, 2, 3 times, and then you'll have 3 rings around your character, thus giving you the strongest shuriken possible, right click, and then you throw it through all of the enemies. Because of this, attack speed is very, very important on the class, but we're gonna actually sacrifice it on one of our pieces of gear for movement speed instead. So for the sword, you're gonna want energy regen second. That's what I would recommend anyways. Technically speaking, you could probably just get your hands on attack speed as the second stat for the sword, but honestly speaking, I prefer energy regen because of this build in itself is actually very reliant on it, and the faster your energy regen overall says to me that it's more important than having faster combat abilities, right? For both of your other pieces of gear, you're going to be going for attack speed as the second stat and movement speed as the fourth, or movement speed as the second stat and attack speed as the fourth, because they both end up taking the same slot in the equipment. That's entirely up to you, but I'm just saying if you end up finding a piece of gear that's got movement speed second stat, it might not be entirely useless. But the gems are going to be the biggest pivotal role because the Neon Ninja in itself is really reliant on critical hit. With classes like the Shadow Hunter, he shoots like a machine gun, so you don't even need that much critical hit in order to actually get crits off. But with the Neon Ninja, you're pretty much going to be throwing a shuriken every second, and it pays a lot to have that happen most of the time. So typical of any damage-based class, you're going to be focusing on crit damage, physical damage, and crit hit on every gem possible. If you can get all of your gems with these 3 stats, then you're all good. If you can get your class gem with it, GG. And power gems can start at 700 power rank, and I think those usually end up being the most powerful in the game, but honestly speaking, it's a little bit random, and I've heard that the highest power rank you can get on a smaller gem is 600 at level 1. Now, if you don't know about the gem system in general, you're going to be going for 2 stars on the smaller gems so that you have all 3 stats available immediately, and then 3 stars on the big gems, the empowered gems, so that you have all stats available immediately as well. It's not good if you have to unlock any of the stats because that means that it's less stats that are going to go to the gem overall. I know that sounds so weird, doesn't it? In short, focus on these 3 stats and you'll be fine. The stats that I'm rocking is 109 physical damage, crit hit is at 93.9, which is insane for the Neon Ninja, and 829.6 crit damage. So overall, I'm not really the strongest Neon Ninja. Granted, I just don't really have that much random generation with my gems. Like, I have no luck with them whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is, as you saw at the beginning of the video, I can handle U9 no problem. And then, of course, one of the critical points of the build is that you're going to be focused on the Trailblazing emblem. That's the one that you're going to need. That is why you need as much base crit hit as possible off of your gems, because you're not going to be able to use Sure Strike. You have to use the Martial emblem with pretty much any class in the game except for tank characters, and Death Defying is just a personal favorite of mine because if you're doing it right, you should get one shot all the time, especially with the Neon Ninja because he's a glass cannon. For a ring, I would recommend either one that has crit hit like this or just one that has magic find. And for the ally, I just use the Raptor Berserker, but if you can sacrifice that for the Prowling Shadow, it actually gives 5 more movement speed, which doesn't really make that much of a difference, but maybe it will in the long run. And that's really all there is to it, folks. Now, I'm gonna run you through a couple little tips as to playing the Neon Ninja, but honestly speaking, you're already set. Now to get that insane movement speed, you're going to be pocketting a flask, which is going to give you the trailblazing emblem effect, which grants a boost to jump and movement speed. It doesn't say the exact number. And then you're going to do your right click because that is also going to give you a temporary movement speed buff for a little bit. And the key of what you're doing with this character is you're going to be backpedaling a lot. So let me just say the map is your friend. So that dungeon that's behind us right now, we're just going to backpedal while we pop a potion here. And you can see we get over there in no time and we drain all of our energy in the process. So what I like to do is turn around and start flying so that you can regen all of your energy and then you just continue it all over again, right? Now, that's the other thing too, is you're gonna have to get out of the habit of using mounts and using your wings as often as possible, because the fact of the matter is that no matter what, even if you don't pop a flask, when you do your backflip, you're already gonna be faster than your wings. So it's insane. Like seriously, you gotta really watch for that. Now, when you're completing these 30 enemy dungeons, and this also applies for shadow towers as well, I've seen lots of neon ninjas that don't notice this, but you can actually build up your charges on the totem itself. So I would recommend doing that for these 30 enemies, and then as you can see right here, this is pretty much all you end up doing for dungeons. If you've got enough damage, you don't need to pop a flask for a kill 30 enemies. You'll only need to do that for 3-star bosses, because otherwise I'm doing enough damage that I can one-shot normal bosses. And overall, you're gonna notice that you thought the game was laggy before. Wait till you jump all the way over to another dungeon and then rubber band back to the first dungeon, because you're that fast. Now, as far as the complexity of this build, which it's not really that complex, it only really boils down to if you want to handle U9, you're going to have to be pretty powerful to compensate for the lack of attack speed and stats that you're going to end up having from other means. But otherwise, you should be able to handle U7 at least with no problem, and maybe U8 no problem, depending on the luck that you end up getting with your gems. And then as one final note here, I just do want to say that the Lunar Lancer actually comes in second place as far as movement speed is concerned, because he's got a very high base movement speed, and I think you can actually get his movement speed, like just base, without the Neon Ninja's right click. I think you can get the Lunar Lancer to about 100, so he's actually faster than the Neon Ninja until you end up backflipping and then you just lose him in the dust, right? But this exact same build works on the Lunar Lancer, except you don't need any attack speed on him because all you're doing is mashing your number 1 ability. I just wanted to point that out. Either way, thanks so much for watching, folks. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe for more daily videos. Sayonara and stay epic, everybody. Happy hunting.